Day one journey, yes. How to acknowledge your self-worth. Episode 1581. Maybe I'm gonna use the the board. But first of all, let's dive into that. Self-worth, understanding the value that we give. Now, sometimes we use words like don't judge yourself or judging. Well, the word judging sometimes has a negative connotation. Yeah, judging. Yeah, but we need to assess, we need to measure, we need to understand, we need to, well, in my opinion, yeah, I want to be aware and acknowledge my actual self-worth, or the value that I give to other people, or the value that I give to myself. And we can get easily caught up with thoughts like, well, today I wasn't operating on my 100%, for example, and then I can say to myself, well, it was only 70%. Well, meaning today I operate on 70% on my actual skills and abilities. So I can say, well, it's not 100%, so then I'm not feeling good about myself. Well, this is one thing that can happen, and well, it's quite. I have several ideas in my mind that I want to share with you. So, sometimes I have conversations with friends, or I think about myself, and either I forget or my friends forget the actual value that we give either to ourselves or to other people. So sometimes we think with percentages, which is useful. Yes, percentages sort of help me to understand where I am compared to my true best. This is valuable, but it's not my actual, the actual value that I can give. Because my 100% can be someone else's 50%. Someone else's 50% can be my 10%. Yeah, because I think it's very important to sort of understand where we are. Is it the actual value, or is it relative value? So this is not a math class, yeah? But I think sometimes we miss very, very specific things, So I will use this very specific example. Yeah, I have a very good friend of mine, and the other day we had a conversation, and I was very excited about something that I'm doing. I started creating content, and I sort of create things for myself, and I was started working on something that connects to so many different things that I want to do in my life. Yeah, it's so complicated. It's so, deep. And so at the end of the day, I was excited about it. I had a conversation with my friend. I knew they weren't 100% with me with their attention, because they were doing something else at the same time. But I was still very excited about sharing these things with them. There was no specific questions that there was no a specific question that I wanted to ask, or something. I just wanted to share, and I was very excited about it. And the day afterwards, I had another conversation with them, and they said that they sort of didn't give me the full attention, and they were sort of not sure about the value that they gave me. So, in my words, I gave them, well, this is how I would put it, I gave them a piece of the truth, or in Hebrew I would say, נתתי להם I'm not sure about the word yet, but well, actually it doesn't matter. I helped them understand the perspective that they were missing. Okay? So what did they miss? And this is what I want to share with you. Yeah. So yeah, they weren't 100% with me in the conversation. And guess what? I already knew that. Yeah. It was quite obvious. Yeah. It wasn't that, when you sit with a friend in a coffee shop and you're facing them and they are fiddling with their phone, It was a conversation. My friend was just getting organized, going somewhere. It was obvious that they couldn't give me the full attention. So, first of all, let's start with awareness. I knew I wasn't given the full attention. So, let's start there, yeah? But overall, still, so 1 point. I don't know, 50% of their attention going to me is more than most people's 100% attention. Because they have a lot of capacity, yeah? This is one thing, one dimension, okay? Their 50% is someone else's 100%. So yes, it wasn't their best, but 50% of their best is very valuable to me, and it's very high compared to other people. Because I'm not talking about something generic. I'm talking about a specific friend of mine that I know them very well. Okay, so this is the first thing. They're 50%, and it can be easily someone else's 100%. And even without the comparison, the 50% is still 50, This is, I will use a different example, yeah? So you can think about, like, there's a medicine, and there's a 50% chance of something that would happen if you use this medicine. So you can think 50%, or 10%. 10% something bad is going to happen if you take this medicine. 10% can be quite vague. Like you can say, well, it's kind of low, right? But when you think about 100 people, there are going to be 10 people that will actually have that. This is the difference between percentages and actual amount. So, meaning 10 people out of let's say there's there's a game, and 10% of the people play this game are going to win. So 100 people play the game, 10 people is going to win. For each one of them is a full win. Yeah, but it's only 10%. Where do I go with this? My friends, 50% attention is still 50%. It's like it has attention, The fact that it's lower than 100 doesn't make it zero, okay? This relative, this being, saying 50% out of 100 gives us some kind of information. But 50% is still an actual amount. Yeah, especially when, it's a specific friend and I know their value. I'm not sure if this point was 100% clear, but this is a different point. Yeah? Now, something else that I I forget sometimes, and I see my friends also forget, is context. Context. This conversation that I had with my friend doesn't exist in void, you know? It exists within our friendship. It exists with my friend's knowledge about my life, things that I've shared with her for the past 5 years. Part of the context is her memory, her actually remembering things that I shared with her 5 years ago, her understanding about all the things that I'm doing in my life. All of this is still part of the context of one conversation. Which means, even if I compare her to someone else that has a lot of capacity to listen and understand everything, yeah, so her 50% of attention can be maybe similar to someone else's 50% of just pure attention. But they don't have the context of my life because they are not my friend. They don't know all these things about myself. That's why her specific attention, because I acknowledge the context that she has about me, gives this 50% attention of hers much more value because she has context. This is huge, yeah? This is like huge, yeah? Because if I know you, let's say, imagine, you are my friend for like 10 years. I know you very well. You tell me one story, I can remind you of things that maybe you've forgotten. I have so much more opportunity and knowledge to help you compared to someone else that don't really know you. So if I give you 40% attention, I can still help you much more than someone else, even though it's only 40%. Context, context, context. Content is the king. Context is the kingdom. It's everything else that is around you. So let's give it a more generic conclusion. You have a lot of value that you give to people by just knowing them, okay? There's a lot of value of you, if you're my friend, there's a lot of value of you just listening to me, not just for the sake of I'm feeling good because I'm being listened to, which is value in itself, but also you actually accumulating and understanding more and more information about me. This in itself has a lot of value. Because in 1 day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, you can remind me of these things. You learning about me as my friend is a value that you give me. Because it helps the context of our friendship. It makes the friendship deeper. Because you know me better. So you can help me more in the future, in many things, you know? Because we sort of work on the friendship. The friendship is it's part of the big context around all the conversations that we are going to have as friends. The friendship is about you remembering what I've been through, me remembering what you've been through, and just so many things there, yeah? This is why when I talk to a friend or I talk to a psychologist, yeah, that doesn't really know me, you know, it's what they know about me has a lot to do with the value that I can get out of them. Context, context, context. Please don't forget about it. And so a few things, yeah. There's the percentage thing, yeah. The can be quite, I also remind myself, okay, I'll summarize it and I'll talk about myself. I can be, the end of the day, it might feel that I didn't do much. Yeah, let's say I had a day when I went out, and so I went back to sleep. So I went back home like 2 a.m., let's say, and then I slept only 2.5 hours because I woke up 4:30 a.m. I did my morning routine, and then I went back home, and then I kind of slept, and then I did some work, and so it might be an average day of not a much below average day for me. Okay, so I might feel at the end of the day not that good, or I don't know, but I need to remind myself, well, this is compared to my skills, it's compared to my execution, but who wakes up 4:30 a.m. after they slept 2 hours? For people, this in itself can sound like impossible. I cannot wake up after 2 hours that I slept. I cannot do that, but I did it. Now I take it for granted, because I do it every single day. But don't take it for granted. This is what I tell you. Be proud of yourself for these things. Because you're doing 30% of what you can do during the day. Maybe these are the most important 30%. Or maybe these things were so hard for you like 10 years ago, and now you have them as part of your habits. And very few other people have them. This is having perspective. This is understanding that you're 30% right now. It's someone else's 100%. It might be someone else's 200%. 200% means that they cannot do it. It is beyond their skills. You have your comfort zone, the magic zone a little bit, there's the panic zone, People cannot, operate in these things, I know I had a meeting right now at work, and I was 20 people, 15 people, and I was talking to them, and people have, stage fright, they public, for me, it's natural. So let's say I didn't even had trouble with this when I was young. Well, I kind of have. I was very shy when I was very young, but for some people, just this conversation is 250% of what they're capable of doing. But I just did that, super easy. And I give value to myself while doing that, because I shared important things, and I listened to other people, so I gave them value, etc., 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 yeah? This is just few more of the layers of what's really happening, okay? That it has much more meaning than compared to your momentary feeling right now. That sometimes is a result of your logic of saying, I only did 20% of what I'm actually able to do. And by the way, the context is also there. Context of you and how you feel mentally and physically. Maybe you're super tired, yeah, and overwhelmed, and sick, and all things like that, yeah? But you still listen to your best friend, and you gave them 30% of your attention out of your 100%, but your 100% on this day, maybe it's only 50% because you're not well. Guess what? A friend, a good friend that really knows you and understands what you are going through, you help them when you're super sick. You gain more points, You invest into the relationship, into the friendship, and this in itself has value. Also for you, also for them, because it gives value to the context of everything. You understand? You rebuild and you make the environment, the kingdom around you better. The kingdom of the friendship. There's so many layers of value that we need to sort of address before we jump into the false conclusion of, oh, I'm not worthy. Think again. Next time you have this thought, I'm not worthy. I don't give value because I don't know, because I didn't feel with a lot of energy, stuff like that. But there's so much value. Even you fighting with yourself, yeah, there's value. You trying to do something good when you not feel well. Guess what? You become a better fighter. You practice being uncomfortable. This in itself have value for you. So much value that you can give at any given moment, for you, for other people. Just be positive and look for these things. Whatever you look for, you find whatever you look for. You seek problems, you find problems. You seek solutions, you find solutions. You seek ways to help people, you find the ways. You seek reasons why you don't get what you under. Whatever you look for, you find. Look for the good things. Focus on the good things. And focus on the value that you give. At the end of the day, you gave the value. It doesn't matter if it's a 20% after 100. Guess what? If it's money, you know, you're going to help someone. Let's say all the money that you can give is 100, but you gave 20. What, 20 is nothing? Well, maybe 20 for them is a lot. Yeah? If they live in Thailand, $20 can feed them for a week. Have an amazing day. Day one. Know your worth. There's so many layers of it. Take care.